Hello everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today we are playing Postban Rhinos. And since we are not doing the instant speed cascading anymore, Violent Outburst is gone, banned in Modern. My idea was here to play the best possible Sorcery Spirit cascade available, and that is Bloodbraid Elf. So Bloodbraid Elf in this build is guaranteed to cascade either into Footfalls or some of these other cascade spells, so it's guaranteed to hit the Footfalls. And if you hit Shardless Agent, you get additional 2/2 body. If you hit Plea, it allows you to attack immediately for 4, which can play well into the mirror. And also just having more cascaders in the mirror, I think, can make your matchup a bit better. Also, the deck will be a bit softer to counter spells without the instant speed cascade, so I think having more cascaders can help that, and also just having Bloodbraid Elf, which also just resolves and attacks even if your opponent counters the Crashing Footfalls, can be helpful too. So this is like little ways to try to find a win and against decks like Murktide, stuff like that, to still resolve something and still be able to just jam spells and do well. So in games you need Force of Negation, you will always replace it for the Bloodbraid Elves. There's just no point in playing the Bloodbraid Elf when you're bringing those in. And it works well with the rest of the cards, but yeah. Okay, so I decided to also play Solitude on the sideboard instead of stuff like Dismember or other options which you can cascade into with Bloodbraid Elf. There are other playable options like Murderous Cut, whatever, but I don't like having Dismember on the sideboard when I need it. I don't want to interact with my Bloodbraid Elf, and I also think Solitude is pretty decent options in this build. We have already 11 white spells in the main, so it's perfectly playable, and most often you're bringing in the one of the fairy in those matchups too. So you're in the let's say 14 white spells, which is the needed number to play those spells, and it's okay to hard cast it also often in the games you're bringing it in, and it does the job. It kills the creature haters like Lavine, like Dranith Magistrate, whatever problematic creatures like Murktide, Tarmogoyf, Territorial Kavu, Scion of Draco, whatever. Okay, so that is it. Very simple sideboard, and the sideboarding is also pretty simple. So Bloodbraid Elf for Force of Negation cards you're often trimming is like 2 Subtlety or all Subtleties, or like 1 or 2 Bindings, or 1 or 2 Fire Ices. Also, in cases your opponent is not playing removal in their deck, you can just remove all the Leyline of the Guildpacts too. Okay, so definitely there are some logical options here that you must learn when playing the deck, but all in all it's pretty simple, and it's even simpler now that you don't have instant speed cascading, so it's kind of just a jam and hold meaningful interaction and sideboard well for the needed matchups, of course. So that is it. Let's check out the gameplay. So first match we're playing against Mangu, who was also trying Postban Rhinos. Okay, he wasn't playing Bloodbraid Elf, so I think that is considerable advantage for this deck, having additional Cascader, additional more ways to finding the Rhinos, and it's definitely a bit easier to play against Cascade decks, against Rhinos, when you don't have instant speed spells available, cascade available, but it's still I think a very good deck, and it has very powerful gameplay as always, and Scion of Draco is also such a powerful new addition to the list, and the Scion can all just take over the game in those games where where opponent depends on the cascade hate they're bringing in. Okay, so here I go for the Bloodbraid Elf, find the Shardless Agent, find the Crashing Footfalls, make my Rhinos, attack immediately for 4 with Ardent Plea. This additional damage can be relevant sometimes. Opponent finds Shardless Agent too, but on my turn I'm resolving Suspended Footfalls and playing another Shardless, and Mangu concedes. That is the game. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so in the match 2, I'm going in for starting with a Leyline. I have turn 2 Scion and turn 3 Ardent Plea. Very powerful start. Here I surveil Crashing Footfalls in the graveyard. Good surveil here for me. Opponent goes for the Scion. But yeah, my Scion is definitely bigger here. Big problem for the opponent. Okay, they go for Leyline Binding. I decide to force the first one, so they go for the second binding immediately, and I decide to let the damage through. I'm going for the Ardent Plea here, and I'm trying to raise my opponent. So I go attack for 5 with Scion here, putting my opponent to 10. So I'm close to lethal, but opponent has Shardless and Leyline Binding. Very good turn for them. They also attack me down to 8 damage, and I was hoping to get untapped land here, but instead I got Raugrin Triome, and I was hoping to find a green card for Force of Figure there. Didn't get it, but I passed the turn holding the Force of Figure. I think opponent did a mistake last turn when they didn't attack with Rhinos. So now here I got my play open to play the Force of Figure and do the complete blowout, gain a bunch of life, and then untap with play the Leyline Binding and just win the game. Okay, so that is it. Win in match 1. And then immediately in a second win against Mangu, playing also Mirror, and then in the match 2 playing against RVNG, also MTGO Grinder. Here I decided to keep very medium hand, just like Suspend Footfalls and Leyline, but now when we have like Surveillance available, lot is possible. So here I suspend also Crashing Footfalls number 2. Opponent plays the Surveillance, so they're obviously on the Gorios. They go for the Falagi, trying to find the reanimate target. They don't get it. I didn't want to surveil in my upkeep now. I was hoping to hit a cascade spell, and I did get it. So Shardless Agent here, starting my pressuring my opponent. They digging more, trying to find that Atraxa. Unfortunately, I don't have removal for Falagi, so they're doing the thing again, getting the Ephemerate. Also, they get to block here. So opponent going for Ephemerate this time and finding Tainted Indulgence. Last turn they find a Gorios, and now they put Atraxa in the grave, which means next turn they can go Gorios for Atraxa. Definitely big problem. So I go here like resolve my Rhinos. I find the Leyline Binding, so I decide not to go for Lórien this turn, so I can immediately binding the Atraxa, which is exactly what I do here. Binding the Atraxa immediately before they can find Ephemerate. And since now they need White Source and Solitude Ephemerate, which is I think exactly what they got. Okay, they go for the Solitude, Ephemerate, kill 2 of my Rhinos. So I did a mistake here. Yeah, I didn't think about it on time. But yeah, here I tried to resolve my other Rhinos, and I got I draw into Fire Ice. I think I should have just attacked with Rhinos. Or maybe I just attacked with both and see if they'll let the damage through. and then if they let the damage, I can just Fire Ice them for 2 to finish them off. Instead, I decided to just fire the Solitude before blockers. I think that was a much worse option. Here they were able to like gain 3, so I decided to go for draw 3 on my turn, and on my turn now I can play Ardent Plea and Scion, which gives me lethal next turn. I have Subtlety I can hold for their turn, and now they're on 0 cards, so they need a Gorios from the top or something like Ephemerate. They didn't get it, and so that is it. This is not game over. They can try to top deck something else for another turn, but here I find the Bloodbraid Elf for lethal with haste, so that is now game over. Let's check out game 2. So basically no need, because my opponent kept 1 lander and they were stuck on 1 land and just conceded the match turn 3, so it was a very quick win. Okay, let's go check out the match 3. Opponent kept a survey land, 1 lander with a survey land. I do that a lot too. That is definitely a risk. Sometimes you just keep a survey like a mulligan land with 1 survey land, and then I'm hoping to surveil non-land from the top, get the second one and get things going. But yeah, of course, sometimes that just doesn't work. Here I was playing against a weird deck, mono blue. Mono blue was definitely a thing, like at some point. Okay, here I had a few options. I decided to go for the Scion. I was expecting a counterspell, so I was hoping to try to like go for Shardless next turn. I didn't want to cycle the Lórien. I was hoping to hardcast it at some point if needed, so I was just holding it for now, going for the Shardless. And yes, seems like my opponent used their only counterspell last turn, so they didn't have it now. But instead they go like dismember and bounce my second Rhinos, so they successfully got rid of the Rhinos. The first set, I was able to continue attacking with Shardless. Stuff like this is exactly what I was talking about. Stuff like Shardless and Bloodbraid Elf can you win these type of games very easily. Okay, so again attacking for 2 here. Since my opponent didn't have counterspell last turn, I decided to just try to go for the Crashing Footfalls, which makes the biggest board, the biggest damage, and yeah, I was able to resolve it. Opponent now goes for a Jace on their turn, try to bounce one of the Rhinos. I play the Subtlety for the win. Opponent concedes. Okay, so let's check out the game 2. This deck is very well known for playing Shardless, I think, in the main, so it can be a problematic deck for Rhinos. And here my opponent starts with Shardless, and I like starting with not much in these games except a Leyline of the Guildpact. Since you have access to 2 survey lands, you still have something to do in the first 2 turns. You can dig, try to find relevant spells. Okay, here passing the turn with 2 fetches, going for the Surveil, trying to find a good spell on top. And I did find Ardent Plea here, so I can go for the Cascade to check if my opponent has a counter. So I go for the Footfalls, opponent has counterspell. This is fine. I can start like hard casting, try to hard cast my creatures, try to kill them with Subtlety, similar stuff. Okay, here opponent just passes the turn. I try to go Subtlety end of turn to start attacking, but they also had their Subtlety. So I decided to put this guy on top and just surveil on my turn, put the Footfalls in the graveyard, and immediately cast the Subtlety before they can Subtlety my Subtlety again, whatever. Okay, so here opponent plays the Sleep Cursed Fairy, and starts attacking. Okay, they have a lot of mana there they can use on Fairy, and I find the Shardless from top. I decide to attack with a Subtlety 2 here, try to binding one of their creatures, but they have counter for that one. So once now they're tapped out, I can just resolve my Shardless Agent to try to pressure them. Okay, so opponent has the Force of Negation for that one too, but now they're on 0 cards. And yeah, so they have 2 attackers here. This is lethal next turn, so I have to stay in block and just cast my Subtlety immediately before they find counterspell or whatever. Now I have 2 blockers for their flyers. This is good for me, but opponent finds Lórien and another Chalice, passing the turn with 2 mana up. And here I find Scion of Draco from the top with Leyline of the Guildpact on the field, and that is immediately game over if my opponent doesn't have a counterspell. And yeah, they just immediately concede. That is the match. Okay, let's check out last win of this league. I was playing against Domain Zoo. Okay, starting off with double Leyline plus Scion in hand, also having access to turn 1 Surveil makes this deck just so much better. Okay, so very much recent additions boosted this deck to very high power level. So even with trimming, banning the Violent Outburst, this deck is still perfectly playable. Okay, here I play the turn 2 Scion of Draco. I have double Leyline, so even if they remove first one, I'm still like very in very good position here. Also I go for turn 3 Ardent Plea, resolve my Rhinos, attack with Scion, and they need to find the Scion ASAP to continue playing this game. And opponent did find the Scion here. Okay, so we trade for 1 creatures. I surveil a Fire Ice into the graveyard. I pass the turn. Opponent doesn't want to attack with Scion, they don't want to trade it. They go for Expressive. Finding the Wild Necatl, and here I go again for the Bloodbraid Elf. Bloodbraid Elf was great here, finding me the Ardent Plea, which can be relevant here if I decide to start attacking with Scion and I don't want to trade it. They can't really block me efficiently here. So now I attack only with Rhino, gets 2 exalted, triggers attack for 6 with my Rhino token, putting down opponent to 7. I'm now on 38 and have 3 Rhino tokens. Very good position for me, and opponent concedes. Let's check out the game 2. All clean wins except this one loss where I misplayed. I had the game there too. I could have won that one easily. Okay, so keeping a 2-lander with Leyline is so much easier now when you can just crack the fetches and surveil, try to find that 3rd land you need, or 4th one in this case when you have Bloodbraid Elf, of course. A very good hand here. I have everything available to me, like binding, force of vigor, subtlety, whatever. Here I try to fetch, opponent has a Tear Asunder to take my Leyline, so I decide to go for the Zagoth, play my fetch and pass the turn. Okay, so opponent is playing Stubborn Denial, probably Flusterstorm, post-board too. Okay, so let's see the sideboarding plan against Domain Zoo. I play Domain Zoo a lot. I think this is the best option for this build. Going for trimming 2 Subtlety and 1 Bloodbraid, 2 Fire Ices to bring in Solitude. Solitude is very good against them. Teferi is also great in the matchup, but you don't want too many. I think like 1 or 2 is just like ideal. And 2 Force of Figures. I don't want too much of those, but still want to have access to Force. Definitely don't want to bring in all 4, but it's nice to draw into the Force of Figure occasionally. So I prefer having 2 of those post board. Okay, so here my opponent is obviously holding the Stubborn Denial. Or the 1 mana counter, whatever. So I was hoping it is Stubborn Denial, but it was Flusterstorm, so I got punished there, but it is fine. And here I find the Scion on top and I decide for a weird play. I know my opponent doesn't have counter for Subtlety, so I just let them take my Scion and then Subtlety my own Scion on top of my library. This way opponent uses their mana to do this, and I still have like Scion on top and Bloodbraid Elf next turn, so I can play first Bloodbraid Elf, go around Stubborn Denial, resolve my Rhinos, and then also play the Scion of Draco for 2. Kind of a perfect turn here for me. And yeah, I go down to 10 and I play both of my creatures. Opponent bolts my Bloodbraid Elf, and I have a lot of power on the field now. A lot of good top decks from the top 2. Opponent takes the Binding, puts Giganta into their hand, and now I'm in a really good position. I played Binding, I decide to take the Teferi, and this way I get additional draw. I had some options, definitely I could just Binding their Binding and then force them to Binding on their turn. This way they would probably not get the Ragavan back, but use the Binding to kill my Rhino, which is not what I wanted here, so I think this was my preferred play. And now I get Fire Ice to tap the Giganta, attack for lethal, and that is the match. Okay, so let's check out the only loss in this almost perfect league. I think this deck is still like incredibly strong. Didn't lose much. Okay, here first of all I keep a very medium hand. No pressure, except I'm depending on the Surveil lands again. I find Scion of Draco. This is like pretty strong turn to play, and now I also have access to the Binding. Unfortunately my top deck of another Footfalls was not great here. And my opponent was obviously playing like the Tassa Oracle combo deck. So my chance here was to... I needed a cascade spell this turn, and then Subtlety from the top. Okay, so I definitely holding a Binding here if needed, and then I go for the Surveil, and I find the Subtlety. I really needed Subtlety here. Basically what I need here is double Subtlety for the win. I find the first one, opponent goes for Tassa Oracle. I can Subtlety it here, and I'm taking for 7, which leaves my opponent on 5. Meaning I definitely need another Subtlety on top. And yeah, this turn 1 suspend Rhinos just wasn't good enough. And here I attack for 7. And my opponent had the thing, Tassa Oracle plus Abiding Grace plus Spoils of the Vault. Okay, so yeah, that was the win for the opponent. Okay, so let's check out the game 2. Okay, in the game 2 I bring in Endurance and the Force of Negation, and also one of the Fairy. I think they mostly play Profane Tutor, Lotus Bloom, so the Fairy can sometimes just win the game on their own against them. And starting off with 2 Surveil lands, maybe, yeah. I trimmed like, wasn't really sure what Cascade Hate do they play. Maybe I should have left like 2 Bindings in. But this was fine. Yeah, okay, so I have a different... Yeah, this was also a fail. I just didn't expect them to have this much hate. And I should have done this on their turn using the Force of Negation to protect it. So I did actually a couple of misplays here. But yeah, as you can see here, Bloodbraid Elf removed that for Force of Negation. I was still in a decent spot here. I had another Force of Negation in my hand to counter the another Profane Tutor, and my opponent only 2 cards in hand. I countered both of their Profane Tutors. It seemed to me like very like low chance they find another land, so it felt like they have a really low chance of finding something relevant. I think I should have another mistake here was that I didn't go for Shardless Agent on my turn. I decided to go hardcast the Subtlety here to go in for more damage and try to force them here to block if I have Fire Ice for lethal. And yeah, so I played the Shardless Agent. I thought this was like easy win. Didn't expect them to find all the pieces from the top, but they actually did find like 2 Spoils of the Vault and Angel's Grace, which was enough for the win. Yeah, so as I said, I didn't play this well. I could have played much better, and this was basically easy win. Could have find a trophy here, especially in the game 3 when I have Endurance can often just win you the game against their deck. So I have very good 8 spells which can win this game on the spot. Force of Negation and Endurance, cause sometimes when they play the Tusk Oracle, you just Endurance their graveyard to the top and they resolve the Tusk Oracle ability and they don't win the game. So Endurance is just another very good card against them. And here opponent had a thing I didn't really expect it. That was my mistake, and lost this one, which should have been easy win. And I also did a couple of mistakes, not just a single one. Okay, so definitely on me that last one, and all other wins were just so easy. And yeah, okay, so I think deck is very strong. I like Bloodbraid Elf a lot. Bloodbraid Elf was very relevant. I was always glad to see it. And Force of Negation, it's very clean swap in those games you need it. You won't need it too often, but when you need it, like, it's a very clean swap for Force of Negation. And I was kind of missing a Mystical Dispute on the side. I really would like to include like at least 2 disputes that I can also bring in those games, and bringing in the Force of Negation where you need those few extra counters, like for example against this last matchup. Okay, so that is it. This is entire league, and yeah, bad plays in this last match cost me possible trophy. But yeah, I think it's very clear that deck is still very strong, especially with addition of a Scion combo in it. And I think Bloodbraid Elf is a very good option. If you're going for the sorcery speed cascade, I think just having the Bloodbraid Elf help this strategy a lot, especially in the matchups when you're playing against the counterspells. So you're still resolving Elf even if they counter the Footfalls, and that can be really relevant often. Okay, so that is it. Hope you like the league, hope you like the gameplay. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, and comment in the video. What do you feel about new Rhinos? What do you feel about post Outburst Rhinos? I think it's very good, very powerful still, and it will definitely remain a serious part of the metagame. Okay, so that is it for today. Again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.